closed that thing. How? Whatever magic opened the breach in the sky also placed that mark upon your hand. I theorized the mark might be able to close the rifts that have opened in the breach's wake. And it seems I was correct.
Meaning it could also close the breach itself.
Possibly. It seems you hold the key to our salvation.
Good to know. Here I thought we'd be ass-deep in demons forever. Varric Tethras, rogue, storyteller, and occasionally unwelcome tag-along.
It's good to meet you, Varric. You may reconsider that stance in time.
Oh, I'm sure we'll become great friends in the valley, Chuckles.
Absolutely not. Your help is appreciated, Varric, but...
Have you been in the valley lately, Seeker? Your soldiers aren't in control anymore. You need me.
Ugh.
My name is Solus, if there are to be introductions. I am pleased to see you still live.
He means I kept that mark from killing you while you slept.
Then I owe you my thanks. Thank me if we manage to close the breach without killing you in the process. Cassandra, you should know, the magic involved here is unlike any I've seen. Your prisoner is no mage. Indeed, I find it difficult to imagine any mage having such power.
Understood. We must get to the forward camp quickly.
Well, Bianca's excited.
This way, down the bank. The road ahead is blocked.
We must move quickly. Demons ahead.
Glad you brought me now, Seeker.
Could be bad for us. He can't be sidelined. Could be bad for his life. We already know.
Let me just say, if aliens wind up implanting eggs in my chest or something and I eat one of you, I'm sorry.
I do not want another single pop culture reference out of you for the rest of the trip. You understand?
I'm trying to say that something is coming. Please don't put your eggs in me!
Everybody stay where you are. Chill the F out. I'm gonna ask you this one time. Where is Gamora? Yeah, I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
Tell me where the girl is, or I swear to you I'm gonna French fry this little freak. Let's do it. You shoot my guy and I'll blast him. Let's go.
Do it, Quill. I can take it.
No, he can't take it.
She's right. You can't. Oh yeah, you don't want to tell me where she is? That's fine. I'll kill all three of you and I'll beat it out of Thanos myself. Starting with you. Wait, what? Down? All right. Let me ask you this one time. What master do you serve? What master do I serve? What am I supposed to say? Jesus? You're from Earth. Not from Earth. I'm from Missouri. Yeah, that's on Earth, dipshit. What are you hassling us for?
So you're not with Thanos?
With Thanos? No. I'm here to kill Thanos. He took my girl. Wait, who are you?
We're the Avengers, man.
You're the ones Thor told us about.
You know Thor? Yeah. Tall guy, not that good looking. Needed saving. Where is he now?
It's Aspen Dental's Everyday Smiles event, where new patients get a full exam and set of x-rays with no obligation, no insurance, no worries. It's free.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Furious Trailer. And today, we'll be talking about best Iron Man fight scenes from Marvel Cinematic Universe. Number 10, Battle of Golmyra. After learning what his weapons are being used for, Tony Stark realizes he can no longer sit back and do nothing as innocent people suffer. He decides it is time to use the suit that saved his life to go save other people's lives as well. Flying to the Middle East, not far from where he was captured, Iron Man arrives in the besieged village and starts giving the terrorist soldiers a taste of their own medicine. This is the first time we see the actual Iron Man suit in action, and it does not disappoint as he takes down the entire army. Number 9, Iron Man vs. Obadiah Stane. 2008 was a simpler time, when final battles didn't need to involve giant armies bent on destroying planets or conquering universes. No, the first MCU film's climactic showdown was a one-on-one fight between Tony Stark and Obadiah Stane in their respective suits. Much of the battle is spent with Stark being thrown around, only to gain the upper hand once he puts his wits into action.
How'd you solve the icing problem?
Icing problem.
Might want to look into it.
Even still, Obadiah almost ends Stark until Iron Man gets a little help from Pepper Potts. Watching it now, the fight is a refreshing respite of the cluttered, haphazard messes of modern superhero films. Number 8. Iron Man Missing Pieces. Iron Man 3 tries to switch things up with the story by forcing Tony Stark to try to survive without his armor. However, in one particular scene, Stark proved he can still be pretty badass even with just a few of his armor pieces.
Here it comes. 3, 4.
Shut up.
5, 4, 3.
Told you.
While trapped in Killian's compound, Tony calls upon his suit, but most of the pieces are delayed. So he proceeds to break out and fight his way through a squad of goons with one arm blaster and one boot. It's a lot of fun seeing him improvise in this chaotic and messy way that shows a grittier side to the Iron Man action. Number 7. Iron Man House Party Scene. It became a joke in the MCU about how many versions of the Iron Man suit Tony has. He's always building and tinkering with his design that he seemed to have amassed an endless number of suits. Iron Man 3 decides to let us see all of them in action.
Nice timing.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Give me a suit, okay?
After being without his suit for most of the film, Tony initiates the house party protocol, and his army of suits arrive to help take on the army of extremist soldiers. The action sequence is fun and inventive as we see different styles of the suits kicking ass together. Number 6. Iron Man Escape from Cave. Unlike most of the other heroes in the MCU, Stark's power comes from his mind rather than his muscles. Though he is physically an ordinary man, he was able to create something that made him extraordinary. After being captured by the Ten Rings and forced to build weapons, Stark builds a suit of armor and enacts his escape. Seeing the first Iron Man emerge from the dark and start kicking all the terrorists' asses with a spectacular, cheer-worthy moment.
My turn.
Though the suits would get much more impressive, seeing the low-key suit do its thing was great fun. Number 5. Iron Man vs. Thor. Part of the fun of the first Avengers movie was seeing so many iconic characters sharing the screen for the first time. Not surprisingly, given the egos at play with these characters, they don't all get along so well at first. After Thor arrives and takes Loki, Iron Man takes issue and faces off with the God of Thunder. The scrap between the two is more fun than threatening, but it is filled with great moments. From Thor headbutting Iron Man to the lightning recharging Iron Man's battery, it's a real crowd-pleasing moment.
Power at 400% capacity. How about that?
Number 4. Iron Man vs. Captain America. Given how many enemies are out there, the Avengers sure spend a lot of time fighting each other. However, this particular battle is much more serious than a grudge match, and it makes for one of the most personal and heartbreaking scenes in the MCU. After learning Bucky killed his parents, Tony wants revenge, but Captain America is standing in his way. After fighting alongside each other many times, these two heroes face off in a brutal fight where they are truly trying to hurt each other. It is a shocking fight that leaves more than just physical damage.
You don't deserve it. My father made that clear.
Number 3. Iron Man vs. Thanos Battle on Titan. Very early in Avengers Infinity War, Thanos proved there were few heroes that would be a match for him. While Iron Man might not seem as strong as Thor and Hulk, he showed he could give Thanos a pretty hard time one-on-one. With the other Avengers out, Iron Man battles the Mad Titan, trying desperately to keep him from getting the Time Stone. You can see the desperation in Stark's face as he throws everything he has at Thanos and won't back down. While he doesn't win, he does manage to draw blood.
All that for a drop of blood.
Number 2. Hulk vs. Hulkbuster. Avengers Age of Ultron might not be the most beloved MCU movie out there, but it did give us a spectacular showdown between Iron Man and a raging Hulk stuck under Scarlet Witch's spell. Seeing Tony Stark rock his iconic Hulkbuster armor was a treat in itself. Seeing him use it to smash the Hulk through a bunch of buildings was even better. There's a long legacy of Hulk fighting his fellow Avengers in MCU films, but this fight with Iron Man remains one of his best. Who can forget Tony Stark begging his buddy to go to sleep as he lovingly bashes him in the face?
Go sleep, go sleep, go sleep.
Number 1. I Am Iron Man snap scene. what would all of these other moments mean if they didn't lead to something moving, poignant, and memorable? That's why the #1 moment is Iron Man's snap scene. Now, Tony Stark has always been a futurist, but early in the movie, we saw he finally had someone whose future he was fighting for.
I'd like to shake your hand, please.
And so when Doctor Strange reminded him that there was only one way to win, he knew what he had to do. And he did it in classic Tony Stark fashion, bringing the entire MCU franchise full circle by finishing off Thanos, his forces, and this grand chapter of the MCU by uttering the phrase that started it all. So what do you think of our list of top 10 Iron Man fight scenes from MCU? It was really hard to choose. Let us know your personal favorite top 10 moments in the comments. And also, if you want a part 2, let us know in the comment.
Sea cuisine prepares premium seafood with the finest ingredients.
This is Chris. I got my first check. I came to this country with my husband 25 years ago.
What do you think of when you hear the word giant? Niagara Falls, Mount Everest, or maybe the Andromeda Galaxy? There are 4 planets in our solar system that are called giants. The largest of them is Jupiter. To understand its size, imagine this. All the inner planets, namely Mercury, Venus, Mars, and our native Earth, are only 0.4% of the mass of all the planets in the solar system. Do you know how much of the total mass went to Jupiter? 71%. That is, Jupiter is many times more massive than any other object in our planetary system. But the most interesting thing is that Jupiter is a ready-made thermonuclear bomb of monstrous power, and not just a piece of stone hanging in space. This means it remains to be blown up properly. The planet belongs to the so-called gas giants. It's mainly composed of hydrogen and helium, just like our sun, which burns due to continuous thermonuclear reactions. What if such a reaction were triggered on Jupiter? If we ignited the combustible gases and dust in Jupiter's atmosphere with an ordinary match, would the planet be engulfed in universal flames, and would there be an explosion? In fact, in the atmosphere of Jupiter, about 250,000 such matches are lit every second. Or rather, meteors. They're attracted to the planet from space and burn up in the atmosphere. But this doesn't lead to ignition, because there's no free oxygen on the gas giant. And fire doesn't burn without oxygen. Try lighting a candle and covering it tightly with a glass flask. You'll notice that after a few seconds, it goes out, because all the oxygen in the flask simply burns up. Hydrogen, which makes up almost 90% of the planet, is explosive only in the presence of oxygen. So we can't start a thermonuclear reaction with a normal match. Jupiter simply doesn't have the kind of fire we're used to seeing on Earth. If it could be set on fire, small meteors would have done so long ago. But matches aren't the most technologically advanced invention of mankind. We could try to start a thermonuclear reaction with something more powerful. For example, a nuclear bomb. In fact, we don't need to detonate a bomb on Jupiter to know what would happen. Over the past 30 years, the planet has experienced such terrible disasters. Even the most powerful nuclear warhead on Earth wouldn't be able to repeat them. In 1994, astronomers, for the first time in history, were able to record the collision of a large cosmic body with a planet in the solar system. From the 16th to the 22nd of July, a veritable apocalypse was taking place on Jupiter. 21 fragments of comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 hit the gas giant, causing severe surface disturbances. In less than a week, the southern hemisphere of Jupiter was covered with traces of collisions. The biggest disaster occurred on the morning of July 18th. After the largest fragment of the comet hit, a dark spot with a diameter of 7,500 miles appeared on the planet. This is only 450 miles less than the diameter of the Earth. However, Jupiter was unharmed. Astronomers observed explosions of up to 6 million megatons. This is 750 times more powerful than an explosion of all the nuclear weapons that man has managed to create. But the traces of the disaster disappeared from the surface of the giant planet within a week. This isn't the only case of a bombardment of the surface of Jupiter by cosmic bodies. In the year 2009, another object, presumably a comet, collided with the planet. The impact caused a dark spot the size of the Pacific Ocean to appear on the surface. But even this wasn't enough to start a chain thermonuclear reaction. So, even if we sent all the nuclear bombs to Jupiter and detonated them, there would be no apocalypse. However, there is one but. There's a theory on the explosion of giant planets. It says that humans could destroy Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune with their own hands. If you organized a nuclear explosion not on the surface of the planet, but deep inside it, you could start a chain thermonuclear reaction. With that, after the explosion of Jupiter, humanity, in theory, would come to an end. It's all about metallic hydrogen, which is stored under monstrous pressure in the bowels of giant planets. If you're tormented by the question of what the ecological fuel of the future may be, the answer can be found inside hydrogen planets. The fact is that during the transition of solid hydrogen to the usual molecular phase, about 20 times more energy is released than when it's burned. Having a very small fuel block of metallic hydrogen, it would be possible to provide energy to a whole house for several years. A future where Terminators live on self-sufficiently for hundreds of years may become a reality. Although the existence of metallic hydrogen was predicted as early as the 1930s, it was only possible to obtain it in extremely small quantities in 2016 by scientists at Harvard University. However, their achievement was rather coldly received in the scientific community. It was only recently that French physicists confirmed that solid hydrogen exists and can be produced on Earth. However, for this, we have to create a pressure of 4 million atmospheres.
Hey, if you love working out but chronic pain in your back, knee, hip, or shoulder is holding you back, and you...
Let's go back to the explosion of Jupiter. On September 21st, 2003, NASA decided to sink the Galileo space probe into the planet's atmosphere. On board the spacecraft were 26 pounds of radioactive plutonium-238, though it only takes 22 pounds to start a chain reaction. According to unconfirmed reports, an explosion occurred inside Jupiter, which left a large black spot on its surface. This is according to the American writer Richard Hoagland. But, in fact, as NASA says, the shadow of the satellite fell into the frame of the telescope, and it has nothing to do with the explosion. At the same time, Richard himself is a supporter of various conspiracy theories, and often publishes provocative articles, so draw your own conclusions. In reality, Jupiter could still be blown up. However, to do this, you would need to send a nuclear bomb the size of the moon to its core. Then, purely hypothetically, a self-sustaining thermonuclear fusion reaction could occur. From such an explosion, the gas giant would simply be blown apart, and there would be a large-scale catastrophe for the entire solar system. Jupiter's explosion would be similar to a supernova explosion, but on a smaller scale. A huge amount of thermal energy and radiation would be released into outer space. Solar wind currents would be disrupted, and most planets would permanently change their orbits. The Earth, as we know it, would cease to exist. After the explosion, we would lose the ozone layer, along with the rest of the atmosphere, and inevitably die from cosmic radiation. And in the sky, for a long time, the consequences of the explosion would be visible to the naked eye. But there would be no one to see the spectacle. Only one question remains. If Jupiter has so much hydrogen, why doesn't it turn into a star instead of remaining a planet? This is because the mass of the gas giant remains too small for such a transformation. Hydrogen in stars is in a plasma state. That is, it's heated to extreme temperatures due to reactions in the core. Jupiter could be a star if it were 80 times larger. Then the temperature inside the planet would reach 18 million degrees Fahrenheit, and we would see another bright star in the sky. One thing we know for sure, in our lifetime, no matter how hard we try, we won't be able to blow up Jupiter. Therefore, don't be afraid to leave the house because of a supernova explosion. It's better to wait until dark. Take a small telescope and look at the largest planet in the solar system with your own eyes. And as always, thank you for watching.
A civilization climbs from the ashes. The coming generations will have something to build upon. But it isn't just knowledge we'd be saving, but humanity's story. Our story.
I know what it feels like to be left alone. I will not abandon that boy.
I think that's what it's all about. Being brave. Embracing change.
Prepare yourself.
Join Mongo's Elite Notification Squad today to make Krillin's head shinier. Authors and artists work really hard on their stuff, so please support them using the links below. Sponsored by Miles Kirby! What's up, everybody? Dragon Ball Kami is a very thorough fan series by Dave X, who I wish would release more of his work in English. He has a very unique style that I'm completely in love with. But if you happen to speak French, let me know what you think of his original series versus Memory. And you may remember, if you've been around here for a while, I covered bits of this series a while back, but this will be a totally new revamp done in the current format. It's also important